my name is John Lucchetti. I've worked as a buildings engineer for 12 years, starting my career in factory-based heavy engineering, and then shortly thereafter moving into buildings. I've been actively involved in the modular sector for about the last 10 years, and am currently on the board of prefabAUS. My role at Stantec is as the commercial sector leader for Stantec in Australia, covering the subsectors of office, resi, hotel, build-to-rent, and aged care.
Hi everybody, I'm James Murray Parks, and I work for a little company called Technotia Laboratories, and we're part of a really big company called Brookfield Asset Management. And our job is to bring efficiencies to projects that Brookfield allocate to us. In the past, we've done all sorts of things, from stadiums to tall buildings to tunnels to bridges to all sorts of things all over the world. And we're not structural engineers, we're actually physicists and mathematicians. So why are we here if this is all about architecture and modular construction? Well, because what you do as an architect is what we call applied physics. You do a lot of geometry, and geometry is a big part of physics. It's a massive part of physics. So a guy called Niels Bohr was a very famous geometrist, and I'm a geometrist, and he used all forms of different geometry to solve lots of problems from all sorts of people, from Einstein through to Mary Curie, all sorts of people. And he was an amazing guy, and he could do anything from a structure to chemical engineering to an algorithm to anything. And I do much the same work here, and most of my staff help me achieve that. What I can't do, I employ people who can do things that I can't do. And I'm literally just a geometrist. I don't do anything else. I write algorithms. So everyone here does something different, and we work together as a composition. And this is really, really, really good. It's been really successful for us. We don't pretend to be able to do things that we don't really know how to do. We get someone who's a specialist in that, and we team up with them and do it like that. There's one of them with his head behind me. And then the main thing is, when we do look at things, we just look for inefficiencies in people's design, and then we fix them. So that's really what we do for Brookfield.
Hi, my name's Lawrence Robinson. I've worked as an architect for over 30 years, and I'm currently a director of brand architects in Melbourne, working on large-scale public infrastructure projects. From an architectural perspective, I'll be looking for innovation and collaboration in the design outcome. I encourage all the teams to think outside the box and find an approach that doesn't conform to existing typologies.
In many of last year's submissions, we saw a really strong focus on structure and architecture, with many submissions including no or basic building services only. This year, I'll be hopeful of receiving submissions with some energy and thought into building service design and innovation. Three key things that I'll be looking at are consideration of how the building will be serviced, the development of novel concepts for the assistance of services prefabrication, such as the implementation of new connection and modularization techniques, and consideration of how to reduce building energy and water consumption through both performance and also through technology and user awareness.
Personally, I'll also be focusing on the spatial quality and occupant experience, as well as how environmental sustainability is demonstrated through the design proposal. I hope to see some really exciting design outcomes that challenge the norm.
James, what is the number one criteria that all submissions should demonstrate in regards to the offsite manufacturing and modular construction practices?
Well, I think really, again, I go back to, from a structural point of view, I go back to connections. Everything comes back from the connection. Moment, when we're measuring moment, for example, to comply these things and put up against certain, standards and codes for building codes. If you get your connection right and that complies, and then you just size up all your sections and so forth properly, you'll be on a winner. But start with your connection. Anyone can calculate a span. Always start with your connection.
Apart from the design and technical input, I think the best thing teams can do to make their submission more competitive is to focus on the quality and clarity of the final presentation. Aim for quality over quantity and ensure that everything you're presenting is contributing to communicating your design in a simple and understandable way. We don't need to see reams of drawings or calculations to know if a proposal is great. If the story is well told, it will be obvious.
Outside of the book, number one would be always design for buildability. Think about how it's going to be built and how it's going to be put together. Modular is all about connections. When you're erecting modular buildings, if it connects really efficiently and it sustains and it can withstand and comply to all the codes in the region that it's in, you're on a winner. You're on a winner.
Outside of the technical input, I'll be looking for clear descriptions of presentation and design ideas to make it easy for us as judges to appreciate and identify the concepts.
Outside of the technical solution, what else can teams do to demonstrate a competitive edge on the submission?
Try and use materials that have already been used in other industries to do similar things. It'll cut a lot of the worry out from the engineer who's going to certify, or the client that's going to suggest maybe it's going to be not fire resistant enough or whatever. Biggest problem with new designs is people get a bit funky and they start using materials that haven't been proven in that particular usage before, and people get scared and it gets hit on the head. And really good ideas often get put in the bin when, if we had really put some thorough research behind that material specification in the design to show that yes, it is used in similar like industries for exactly the same thing, and yes, it does work, you're going to be on a winner.
And what are some of the pitfalls that our students should be aware of when designing particularly for a brownfields site?
Change of usage, you must get your engineering right. You have to have engineering involved in this. If you don't collaborate like we do here, we collaborate really well with all the different disciplines of physicists. We're all physicists in this building, but we're all different types of physicists. So I'm an applied physicist. The guy who really helps me most in my business is a theoretical physicist called Jackson. We've got particle physicists, we've got all sorts of things. Get together with a composition. So you're an architect, make sure you've got a good civil engineer, good structural engineer. Now, they're different things, right? Civil and structural engineers do the same degree, but civil guys and girls tend to play in the mud, and the structural guys and girls tend to play with the actual structures that sit on top of the mud. So you've got to have both, right? So civil geotech, we call it, structural engineering, mechanical services like John Lucetti, who's one of the fellow judges here. Very important to engage these guys and girls and have a composition. Don't ever do a chest beating exercise where you say, I'm the architect, this is my competition, I'm going to win it, I'm going to be famous. Get rid of the ego, do it as a team and win.
My personal top tip for entrants is to work together from the start to define an innovative conceptual approach to the brief that your team can all work towards developing. Don't make the problem bigger than it needs to be. A lot of the time, a simple concept developed with clarity will win out.
First tip, get yourself a copy, download a copy of the Handbook for the Design of Modular Structures. If you go to prefabAUS webpage, you can go to the handbook section and you can download. It'll take you to it'll direct you to my personal website, and you can download any publication you want for free. I don't charge for publications. Read that. That'll give you some really good guidance. Everything I've ever designed is stupid. It's dumb and simple, and it's always taken usually from something else. So if you're trying to actually put a building together, think and have a look outside the building industry and have a look at what other connections other people use. A very commonly used one in the building industry has been stolen from sea freight containers. It's not a very good connection, by the way, but it's a start. It's showing that people thinking outside the box. So have a bit of a look at other areas in mining, for example, and offshore oil rigs and things like that. They're all modular structures, and have a look at how people connect them when they're putting them together. You'll get some really good ideas. Have a look at my stadium, Perth Stadium. My connections there, they're a cylindrical connection that hold these massive spans together. Again, I stole that from a pin from a motorcycle swing arm. It was literally a pin that went through a hole that held the motorcycle swing arm on. Now it's in a stadium, so go and steal stuff from other areas without plagiarizing, and make sure you get permission and reference and all that sort of stuff. So don't do the wrong thing, but go and have a look and get inspired by the rest of the world.
We love seeing novel concepts and new technologies. Don't constrain yourself to existing or mature technologies. Bring new ideas to the table.
I think if I was going to give a final piece of advice, it would be away from what I normally do and something from a personal point of view. From a personal point of view as a designer, I think if you're going to go into this competition, make sure you design what you like and make sure you enjoy what you're doing and enjoy who you're working with.
I wish all the entrants in this year's challenge the best of luck. I can't wait to see all the great ideas you come up with, and I look forward to reviewing all of your submissions.
Looking forward to seeing your submission.